Please note, we would like to make it very clear, we are totally against the form of discipline described in the articles and accounts being used on minors and non-consenting adults. Although some of these accounts are fictional, and others may be an exaggerated reality, none of them are too far from the truth of what really happened back in those days. If you are enjoying our stories, please do subscribe to this channel. We will be posting many more stories as time goes by.
Refusing to do the dishes. My parents were always respectful of me and my sisters and expected the same in return. We had a good life and our parents loved us very much. The rules of the house were firmly established and we knew that if we broke them, we would be punished. It was rare that I was fresh to my mom and dad, but when I was, I never forgot it, especially one time in particular. We had company over for dinner. My friend Gil was over with her parents and brothers. After dinner was over, I got up from the table and went into my room with Gil. We turned on the music and I planned on just hanging out with her. Mom knocked on the door a few minutes later. "Marie, come do the dishes." "But Mom, I'm visiting with Marie, I'll do them later." I heard her walk back into the kitchen and from there she raised her voice. "Marie, I want you to come to do the dishes, right now." I was quite embarrassed that my mother was treating me like such a child in front of Gil and her family. I slammed open my door and stomped into the kitchen. "Ma, I'll do them later. I'm busy." Mom looked at me with that threatening look, but I wasn't scared. She wouldn't yell at me in front of company, she usually just threatened me with a spanking after everyone left, and then she would forget about it. "I want you to do the dishes, now. Don't test me." I rolled my eyes and walked away. She would just yell at me later. I went into my room and started talking with Gil. About 3 minutes passed, so I knew I was clear of the dishes. I was wrong. Mom walked into my room without knocking. She said, "I want you to come into my room." The only reason Mom ever told me to go in her room was when she was going to spank me. But I was now getting older, so I thought she wouldn't spank me at this age, especially with company over. So I let out a sigh and defiantly walked into her room with her. I told Gil I would be right back. "You are not to talk to me that way. I am an adult. When I tell you to do something, you do it, do you understand me?" I nodded. She was mad, but it would be over in a minute. "Do you understand me?" she repeated. "Yeah," I mumbled. "Okay then. Now you are going to get a spanking to help you remember to obey me." I was shocked. I couldn't believe she was going to spank me. I was much too old for a spanking, and we had company over. "What? Ma, no. I'll wash the dishes right now." "I didn't know you wanted me to do them that bad, I'm sorry." My heart started to race and I suddenly had to pee. I knew Mom spanked very hard and I cried aloud. I couldn't let Gil hear me get a spanking, I would be mortified. Her parents stopped spanking her years ago. "No, Marie, you are going to get it. Maybe next time you'll remember to do what I tell you to do." She went over to her vanity stand and got her hairbrush. "Mommy, I'm sorry, please no." I had already started to cry, I was very embarrassed. I was still begging her not to. I stood there, hoping she would change her mind. I looked at her pleadingly. "Mommy, please, no. I love you. I'll do the dishes. I know you will, after your spanking. I love you too. Now, lay over the bed." "Julie," I lay over the bed. I already had my hands covering my clenched bottom. The waiting was awful. I began crying really loud, I knew everyone could hear me, but I couldn't help it. Whack, whack, whack. Ow. Stop. Oh. I reached my arms behind me and put my hands over my bottom. "Get your hands out of the way." Mom grabbed my hands and moved them to one side, then continued the spanking. The sound of the brush against my bottom was piercing to the ears. Smack, smack, smack. I was screaming by this point, begging her to stop. My bottom was stinging and burning with each spank. I didn't think I could take any more. I turned over on the bed, my bottom against the blanket underneath me. I was sobbing uncontrollably. I'm not done, turn over. No, Mommy, please, that's enough, it hurts. I said to turn over, now. I turned back over and she continued the spanking while I screamed, kicked, and cried. My legs were moving up and down and I felt like it was on fire. Every time I put my hands over my sore bottom, Mom grabbed them and put them to my side, and continued spanking me. Finally, she stopped and I turned over on the bed, lying on my sore bottom, crying. Now maybe you'll remember to do what I tell you. I was so embarrassed lying there. Thanks a lot, I said in a very fresh voice. You want more? She asked. I just got done telling you not to be fresh, I guess you didn't learn your lesson yet. Lay over the bed. No. I'm sorry, I learned. No, Mom, please. Turn over. I lay on my stomach once again. This time, she began spanking me again, but harder. Maybe this time you will learn not to be fresh. She spoke a word in between each spank. I cried and kicked my legs and attempted to put my hands over my bottom. Eventually, she stopped and walked out of the room. As I was looking in the mirror, Mom walked back in. I was very humiliated. Do you know why I spanked you? Yes. Why? Because I didn't do the dishes when you asked me to, and I was fresh. That's right. Now maybe you will do what you are told. I want you to stay in here until you are done crying, then come out and wash the dishes. When I went into the kitchen, everyone was in there playing cards at the table. They all looked up at me and I knew they had heard me crying during my spanking. While I washed the dishes, I didn't know how I could ever look at Gil in the face again. I did know that I would never again be fresh to Mom.